some lows in the near freezing today. See the lines on my hat. Near freezing this morning, which is a sharp reminder that winter is not too far away here in New Hampshire. But enjoying fall while we have it here, and some of the foliage and stuff like that. So um, my week has been busy, good, productive. Starting a new training block, which is always a nice kick in the pants. So that's fun stuff happened there for myself. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about, recently I sent out a survey to my newsletter and um, asked people, some of their struggles and some of the stuff I can put out as far as content, etc., etc. And one of the major themes that came up was things around time, and the amount of time people have to dedicate to, the health and wellness habits that they know that they should be doing. And I'm going to be putting out a bit more content on this because there are so many people that responded with something along that line, with time constraints being an issue for them. But I wanted to kick things off in kind of that realm of content, with just an example of what's possible, and how it doesn't need to be terribly complex or complicated from a real life person. So this past month, I've had a client who has had a couple of big work projects that have been, on her plate. Right, she had to get done this month, and she had a big presentation that she had to make, and then she had two, work proposals that need to be finalized and submitted and stuff like that. And it was a lot of work, or is a lot of work. And on top of that, she's also a mom. So she's a mom of three, the youngest of which is a toddler, and goes up from there. And she works full time. So, I mean, she has a lot on her plate, right? Already to begin with. And obviously, she's a health conscious person since or has health goals that she's working towards since she's working with me. But, this month was especially hard as far as just trying to find time for everything that she needed to get done for work, as a mom, as a wife, a family member, and then her own health and wellness goals, right? So we strategized. She knew it was coming up, and before things got really busy, we strategized on things that she should focus on, things she should do. Um, kind of like time hacks she can use. And I'll go over those in more detail for everyone else as well at some point. But I just wanted to read her check-in email, or some of what she put in her check-in email this past week on how things are going. So she focused on kind of the a few of the things that I frequently talk about around what kind of the pillars of health and wellness. That's food, movement, sleep, and community. Obviously, the sixth one here would be stress, and obviously stress is high, right? And to some degree, a lot of that stress is out of her own control. So she's modifying what she's doing in the other areas to account for the additional stress that she's experiencing. So her food goal is really just track her food, so she's aware of what she's eating. She wanted to make sure that she hit her protein goal, which is, when I look at food, is the number one thing that I focus on each day. She wanted to make sure she didn't rely on processed foods. She didn't want ice cream, croissants, and cookies and stuff like that. And she didn't want to drink anyway either. There's no alcohol, right, as a stress relief mechanism, right? And she's nailed all of those, right? She's tracked her food every single day. In fact, this past month has been she's been the most consistent with tracking, oddly enough. So she tracked her food so far every single day. She's hit her protein goal for the most part every single day. She's had a couple days where she kind of fell short on that, but for the most part, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for good enough, and she definitely achieved good enough. She hasn't had any processed ice foods, sugars, ice creams, croissants, that type of stuff, and she hasn't drank any alcohol. So she's gone through all those, right? And that's not, she's not doing anything fancy here with her diet. She has no fasting. She's not doing keto. She's not doing carnivore. She doesn't have any extra added stress in her life because she has enough of it right now from the diet she's trying to follow. And so she just hit the basics. She hit the big rocks and nailed it, right? And these things like just tracking, so she's aware of what she's eating, hitting her protein goals, so she's staying full and satiated, as well as helping maintain her muscle mass. And obviously, the sugars and the alcohol all go towards her. There are potential areas of where people will turn to for stress relief, but she doesn't want to do that because she knows that maybe that provides her some stress relief, but it certainly doesn't help from a health perspective, and also probably is not going to help um, later on from a mental focus and stuff like that. That she needs to be on her game with her work stuff. So she nailed that stuff. From a movement perspective, we kept it dead simple, right? I said to her, we're going to do the strength training workouts 2 times a week. You get in one run or one cardio session. She prefers to run, and focus on some walking, right? So she's done all that, and she's nailed it every time, right? Like she gets her gym workouts in. Sometimes she goes to the gym and she's short on time, and she modifies it. So she might cut out a few sets, or she might cut out some exercises or stuff like that if she's short on time, but she still goes. And so she's taking that mantra, which is, this is what I tell every client: perfection. I just mentioned before with the food, perfection is not the goal. Good enough is the goal. Getting to the gym, and even if you do 2 exercises during this hectic time, that's plenty of. You may not make huge gains, but that's sure is a hell of enough volume for you to maintain what you have. So, and I also told her, like, this is where this can be a form of stress relief, right? We're not going in the gym to kill it, right? She's not in the gym just like crazy, lifting heavy weights and really has a performance goal or anything like that. Again, she has enough stress on her plate. She doesn't need any more stress. This is just, this can be stress relief. Time away from the computer, time away from the family and the kids, just some time by yourself, even if it's just 30 minutes or 20 minutes when she goes out for a run, clear that mind, right? And she's been doing one of the other things, tying in that one long walk a week with her friend. She goes on a walk with someone else, so she gets that social connection, and they go on a long walk together. And so that's been huge from a movement perspective for her. So yeah, absolutely nailed that. Her sleep goal was very simple. She knew that she was probably going to sacrifice some sleep some days because she has some time zone issues where she lives, where the people that she's working with are frankly on the other side of the world. So she's sacrificing some sleep to get in some work time, and again, it's a necessary evil at this point. But her real goal from a sleep perspective was to keep her phone out of her bedroom, so she wasn't on her phone while she was in bed. And so she did that. She's done that so far every single day. No phone in the bedroom for 30 days. And that's been huge. So making sure that the sleep that she does get is the best quality sleep she can possibly have, right? And then, like I said, from a community perspective, she has a lot of things going on. She's trying to like have a long walk with her friend. She has a date night scheduled with her husband, right? She's injected some social interactions with other people in this hectic time, right? Which is great for stress relief, balancing that stress rest balance portion of things, right? And so community is it's just great from a relaxation point of view. And she's been there's a couple of things in play, like I said, that one walk a week with a friend, and a couple of other date nights with her with friends and husband and stuff like that, injected throughout the time. And so she's been really nailing that as well. And so she's honestly done all this and has lost a little more than 2 pounds. So while like we weren't expecting huge gains in any area, we just like, let's put this on maintenance so you can get through this month of time. She's been nailing it. She's so consistent with what she's doing. She's been making progress towards her weight loss goal as well. And so that's like huge. That's it doesn't need to be hard. This is not time consuming stuff. She's just nailing basic food, just protein, just tracking, just making sure she's staying away from the bad stuff, the quote unquote bad stuff, right? I'm not labeling foods bad, but the stuff she wants to avoid. She's been doing that, like nothing fancy. That's all she was doing. Her exercise routine, super simple, straightforward, short to the point. Everything is less than an hour. most times less than half an hour. Um, and her sleep goal, super simple, like just no phone in the bedroom, like nothing drastic, no 9 hours, no elaborate nighttime routine, no, you know, anything crazy, no making sure you get up in the morning to see the sunrise for 30 minutes, all that, very basic. I just don't want my phone in my room, and that's gonna get me, that's gonna be good enough for me, right? So it's not perfect, but it's good enough. It's good enough to do what she needs to do, right? And her community, that's like icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned from a stress management point of view, and just overall mental health point of view. And she's been nailing that too. So this is just to show you that you can still make progress and at the very least maintain what you're doing and the progress that you've made when life gets busy, when you are short on time. It doesn't need to be crazy all the time. You don't need to be perfect all the time. You don't need to be doing the latest exercises, the longest exercises, the latest fad diets. You don't have this elaborate sleep routine. You don't need to, do all this crazy stuff that we hear about that we think that if we can't do, it's not, nothing's ever going to work. You're just going to do some basic stuff and it will work and you will maintain and you will make progress. You will not set yourself back. If you just scrap all this and just, go with what you think is easiest and you don't sleep and you don't move and you don't eat right, just in the sake of having more time to work on whatever you're trying to achieve or deal with at the moment, like that's the stuff that's going to set you back. That's where you're going to take steps backwards instead of maintaining and making forward progress. So just to think about that for those of you that think you are strapped on time, and I have no doubt that you are. Like I understand life gets busy. My life gets busy sometimes too, but it's not impossible to still put a focus on your health. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It doesn't need to be complex. It just needs to be good enough. That's all you need to do is just do good enough. And it's probably a lot less than you think it needs to be. So with that, I appreciate you listening. And as always, if you want to keep up with all the content that I'm putting out on a weekly basis, please go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click on the newsletter tab at the top, enter your email address, and you can sign up for my newsletter, and I'll send you all the emails of all the content that I put out on a weekly basis, just a couple of emails a week. If you are interested in coaching, I'm kind of going back and forth on whether I have spots open and spots not. Just fill out the form. Go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click on the link right on the homepage to schedule a discovery call. Fill out that form, and I will reach out to you depending on what happens over the next week or 2 weeks or a month or so. I might have spots, I might not have spots. But you might as well fill it out anyways, just to have the conversation if you're interested at all, and we can take it from there. And appreciate you as always listening, and I'll talk to you all next week.